Welcome to the Audiobook Lovin Podcast, discussing all things audiobooks with the authors that write the stories and the narrators that perform them. Brought to you by Viviana, Enchantress of Books.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Audiobook Lovin Podcast, where we celebrate the storytellers behind the stories. From authors to narrators, we dive into all things romance and the voices that bring it to life. I am your host, Viviana, Enchantress of Books, and today I am chatting with author Deanne Dietz.
Yes. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for being here. I've had you on my radar, and then I was like, I sent the invite, so I'm so excited to have you here today to talk about all things. I'm excited.
Yes. Thank you for letting me come on.
Of course. We're going to start by having you tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been writing, and how you got started.
Yeah, so I always joke that I'm a mutt when it comes to like my career and also where I'm from because we've just been all over the place. But I actually started writing when I was a nurse working the COVID units on night shift. It was a really dark time, I think, for everybody, especially. But all of a sudden, at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, when we kind of had a little bit of like, not downtime, but just like your charting and stuff like that, this idea came to me called the teeny tiny telescope, which is very opposite of what I have been focused on writing now. But the teeny tiny telescope series came a like positive outlet while I was working the COVID units and hand drawing his story and just having him go on these little adventures to visit each planet. And it kind of just transpired from that, where I was like, oh, well, if I could write a kid's book, maybe I can write something else. And I did a memoir about working the COVID units and burnout called Why the Hell Did I Join the Medical Field? So then that way other people could relate to it too, like doctors, CNAs, facilities and stuff, everyone that worked COVID or is just burned out in the medical field, not just nurses. And then all of a sudden, I had the courage to write Fragments of Asgard. And no joke, within a whole night, I wrote like 10,000 words, and I couldn't stop. And with Fragments of Asgard, it's modern day Viking lore. And I unfortunately take a lot of the trauma that happened in my life and I give it to a lot of my characters, but Blake had the brunt of them. And I just kind of use that as therapy to have the heroine, overcome those obstacles and her assaults and stuff and become more powerful and deal with it. And then while I was writing that, it was extremely hard to get through it because I was reopening Pandora's box. So I think my brain, out of like self-preservation, kind of made Everett Afton, who is the leader of the Afton Adders series. He is the if people don't know what the Afton Adders series is, it's Peaky Blinders vibes. But I took a little bit different of a spin to it. I wanted my own gangsters from back then. I didn't want to take the Peaky Blinders from their beautiful, razor cuts and all that jazz. So I made the Afton Adders where they're focused on utilizing snakes as their form of punishment. And it was supposed to just be one book, and then it turned into a series because people really liked the other characters. And I don't know, I just kind of fell in love with creating these stories. And I love that so many readers and listeners have been able to bond with the characters too. And it's just been a wild and crazy ride. I love it. And then I get to meet cool people like you and different narrators. And it's just like a whole aspect where, you always hear those things. It's like, what would you tell your little 10-year-old self? And, I don't think my little 10-year-old self would believe that this would be going on right now because it was, not a option.
Yeah. I have always said that it would have been so nice when we were in high school for people to have said to us, you can actually have a career in literature when it comes down to, editing or photography or graphic design work and all this other stuff that kind of falls into the book world versus the traditional lawyer, teacher, medical fields and stuff like that. A lot of us would probably be like, wow, okay, well, but we're also getting our second wind of life in this stuff now. But thank you, by the way. I wanted to say for your work that you've done I cannot imagine. My sister-in-law's a nurse, and when all that stuff was going down, I cannot imagine. And as someone that has someone in their life that was, ill to the point of no longer being with us, kind of thing, I'm glad that my mom passed away prior to that starting, because I would have been in jail. What do you mean I can't be with her? But thank you so much for doing the work that you guys do, and it's people are not thankful enough for the stuff that you guys do. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's tough. The things like nursing and teachers, it can be it's so hard, and not only on the physical but on mental and emotional aspect of things. And people tend to take it for granted that there are individuals that signed up for this willingly.
Yes.
And
it's just your job description.
Yeah, right. But it takes a special kind of someone too, because it's not glamorous as sometimes as some of the TV shows make it out to be. Granted, we now have things like The Pit and even ER and Grey's Anatomy, which gives us a little bit more of the behind the scenes stuff, but it's still not anywhere near the stuff that you guys have to, deal with day to day, on top of paperwork and, and doctors probably not providing the information as they should.
Oh gosh, and the baby doctors.
Yeah. Oh goodness gracious! I'm sure if you could, have you ever thought about doing like a romance book in the medical field, or you're going, hell no, I live there enough.
Actually, I did. For 2.5 seconds, I thought about this horrible book because, and the reason why I say horrible is because my husband goes, do not write that. And it was going to be a travel nurse who falls in love with like a local nurse during COVID, and then going to make this beautiful story and like have different little clips and stuff of all the crazy things that we see, the vulnerabilities we see in the hospital. And then he was going to get COVID and die, and I was going to make it a horrible, tragic love story. And my husband's like, please don't.
Yeah,
You're gonna make so many people upset with that. And I was like, what? It's a beautiful romance tragedy. And she's like, just don't. I feel like that's not gonna bode well with people.
He knew. With the whole thing with romance is that it has to have a happy ending, or at least a happy for now ending kind of a thing. That would not be it, love. That's a Nicholas Sparks shit.
Stupid ass was like, it'll hit him in the feels, and he's like, don't touch those feels.
No, not those feels. But as you were kind of saying that, I totally thought of it would be kind of cool to have a traveling nurse that gets to have all these different adventures, whether it's like a cozy mystery, or just kind of being the helping others get through things. Almost like a day in the life, where one book it could be an entire shift instead of multiple days, kind of like The Pit does it now, where one episode is 1 hour. So
I like the way you're thinking. If I start that up, I'm gonna be like, also idea cred to Viviana.
Well, think about it. When as a traveling nurse, you guys are traveling. I mean, as the title kind of says, and it could be anywhere within the same city, but usually, from what I understand, and correct me please if I am wrong, you could travel like across the United States, for an example, as long as you're certified, right?
Yeah, because like I've worked in, because we were military family moving everywhere, so I've worked Ohio, Florida, California, Maryland, Virginia, North Dakota, and so yeah, and it's funny too because like you said, each book could be like a shift or a state or hospital, however, and the things, the culture differences from Floribama line to, Virginia and Maryland all the way to California.
Yeah.
Because shoot, the Floribama line, that could be a...
Yeah, as someone that's in Florida, thankfully in Orlando.
And the Crestview, Crest Tucky, Fort Walton Beach, Floribama line then.
Yeah, well, as soon as you get maybe about 30 minutes above Orlando, you're not technically, while the line says you're in Orlando, you may not be really. It's, the accents, the Southern accent starts getting a lot thicker, and, you're going, oh, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. Uh, like, it's one thing when I'm going to Savannah, Georgia, I purposely go there to do the things. It's another thing where I'm like, I'm still in Florida. Why?
Love it. Oh, shoot.
Yeah. But see, now you have an idea. It could be, you could do so many different things, from cozy mysteries to romance, or, kind of thing. It's just so many. Again, it just kind of popped into my head. I'm like, oh, that'd be kind of cool for her to do. So,
Oh, yeah. Thank you, baby.
Welcome. So, what does that creative process look like for you when it comes down to either starting a new series or the next book in a series? How does that look for you?
So I am a pantser, which I didn't know of until one of my author friends told me that there's pantsers and there's plotters. And for some weird reason, my brain wakes up around like 1 to 3 a.m. That's like the magical time, or in the shower, where I forget actually because there's actually a study on it where your brain fully like relaxes and the creative side like feels like it can like come out when you finally relax. And so
and have nothing to write it down with. Yes, that one.
so yes, I always I have speak notes on my phone, and then I've got like a little booklet next to my bed, and I'll jot stuff down. Then you wake up in the morning and it's like, what the hell did I write? It says like Godzilla oven potato, like you're like, what is this word that I scribbled? No, but so I usually find like a scene that will just bam hits me like a meteor, and I'm like, I need to write that. Like that's how Everett was in the beginning. He was a meteor that hit me in the side of the head and was like, bitch, make me come alive. And I'm like, all right, yes, sir. And it's kind of similar. I love when I heard J.R. Ward's reel from, I think, a Polycon last year, and she was like, my Rice Krispies talk to me in my head. And I'm like, that is what it is.
Yep.
Like, not like they just, they tell you what to do and where they want to go kind of sometimes. And so Everett was the first meteor or Rice Krispie. And I began writing his stuff. And then what I do is I'll have different huge climactic scenes. And then somehow I just kind of like write out, like brainstorm different ideas. And then I weave them together within these climactic scenes so then it makes sense. Because I like to have a nice ebb and flow. I don't like it to be like too slow and it draws out and then bam, like George R. R. Martin, God bless him and love him. But you got, 20 pages of how a dining table looks like, and then bam, Aunt Fiona's dead. And you're like, what? Red wedding, hello. So I like to have some sort of a flow. I wish I could plot. I've tried. I've gotten better with that. Like with my upcoming book, Venator Mortis, I've been better with plotting that out, especially with like part 1, part 2, and part 3, because this one is a gothic thriller romance, and it's set in like 1880s. So fast forward to the creative process now, I have like a little area. I'm actually sitting in it now. A little area on the couch that I sit at, and I have a little setup for my laptop and Bluetooth keyboard and stuff. And I've got my freaking massive stack of reference books. My husband makes fun of me because he's like, that thing is going to topple onto you one day, and I'm going to laugh. And I'm like, leave me alone. I need them right there so I don't have to get up because I'm lazy. And we've got
it disrupts the flow of the creativity. Let's change the verbiage there.
Exactly. I like that. Exactly. And I want to just be able to knock it out, and keep on that. Because as soon as you are on a roll, you are on a motherfucking roll. And then you're like, holy shit, it's 1 a.m. Especially if you like sit down and you're able to kind of get in the zone, especially on the outside hours of super massive creativity time, like a regular 3 p.m. afternoon or so to say. Like, I don't know how. I think for that to awaken that creative process, I have to have either like music from that time of whatever I'm writing about, or like I'll put Peaky Blinders on or Victoria and like have it in the background. So then my brain hears that and I kind of still am stimulated with that. Because if I would have, say, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air on in the background, I'm not going to be writing good verbiage for people in the 1880s or 1930s.
Stop dancing, Carlton.
I know, right? Oh my God. And there's times where my editor has caught that before and he'll put in there, he's like, oh, you must have not had Peaky on in the background. What'd you have? Like, did you have what was one of them? It was like, did you have Underworld on in the background? What is this? Oh,
Not
shoot.
unusual to be loved by anyone.
Yes.
That's not a waltz, ma'am. Well, then again, though, with thanks to Bridgerton, it could potentially become a waltz. You never know.
It could. And the way, can I say, the strings, them taking like the different modern day songs and then making them string music, like orchestra stuff. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like the Tonight song. Oh my God. Gorgeous.
There was one that was like a Pitbull song, and I didn't even put two and two together because the way that they did, I was like, oh, I like this one, and I can't really place it. It's because of that one.
Like, holy shit, you geniuses.
Yeah. But mind you, I know that there's because I do love music and I've had friends that were instruments. That has been happening for eons. So I'm just kind of glad that it's been brought up to the forefront now of, people have been taking, the latest and greatest to the, Metallica kind of things and making it more instrumental and kind of adding it to the flair of insert this, waltz or whatever. And it's like, because that's also what my playlist looks like sometimes. You'll have, it's not unusual from the Prince of Bel-Air concept to, Vikings and Celtic stuff to big bands and all sorts of things. So it's good. Great. Now I'm going to be reading your books because they'll be like, it's not unusual. I'm going to be like, where's that reference? Someone coming into the room being, no, it's not unusual. Okay, gotta have fun with it. But so you pants and stuff. That is interesting. For me as a planner, I would think, but my creative stuff always tends to come out when I'm not planning things, so I get it. And always in the shower when you don't have like a pen and paper, you have, at least you're prepared for it. For a while there, I was thinking, I think they invented some like paper that you can write in it, and I'm like, I probably should buy some of that stuff from my author friends.
Heck yeah. And like you can do the auto thing to your phone, like when you do the voice activation, kind of like with like a Alexa, where you're like, Alexa, take a note. But for Google, you can use it for that too.
I think that is also where technology is good for some things.
Yeah, sometimes now it's like, what in the hell?
Yeah. My favorite is I used to have one of those devices. I have one in the room, so I'm not going to say the name so they don't get activated. But they would start talking out of nowhere. And I'm going, all right, ghosts.
Oh, that's creepy.
You're hilarious. Stop asking the thing about stuff. Because it was like, and the weather today is. I'm like, I know I asked you. Well, maybe someone did. Who knows?
little ghost Elmer Fudd or something. He's just like, hello. Hi, Miss Alexa.
What's the weather going to be like today?
You're the only one that can hear me. Poor thing.
Oh, goodness gracious, all the fun stuff. But with you writing, so when people think historical romance, they automatically do think into something along the lines of like Bridgerton or the Highlanders and stuff like that. You went a la Peaky Blinders, which is like the 1800s, early 1920s and stuff like that. What made you decide to go there, aside from the fact that you do love a good Peaky Blinders?
Oh, yeah. So even though I have the modern day Viking and I read like all different types of genres. I don't know what it is, but when there's no technology, there's no computers, there's no cell phones, for some reason my dorky brain finds that to be more magical in a book. And so I was able to get lost in that world completely. And I think that's what it is. Like, that's how I can get away from work, get away from life, and just like dive into this whole other world and have free reign of it. Like, yeah, we have different references of how people dressed and talked, and like with Venator Mortis, it has Jack the Ripper in there. So I'm using a lot of different like books that have stuff from Whitechapel and how it looked in the streets and etc. But with the Afton Adders, I created the town of Lockham, which I was surprised that there was no town called Lockham. And I'm like, fuck yeah, yes, I have created something and it sounds cool, at least to me. So, and so that's where I just felt like I had free reign of this playground, because in Fragments of Asgard, I use one of my favorite states, which is Montana. And so I was like, well, I'm referencing Kalispell, Montana, and Glacier, and so I got to keep it kind of accurate. I don't want to screw that up, and because I never want to disappoint readers. And there have been some that I have disappointed, especially with my first rendition of the Afton Adder series, Hearts Held by Barbed Wire, because I wasn't to a T with how they spoke back then. Like, no, anxiety was not an actual like diagnosis or talked of back then, but at the same time, with new readers and trying to get them in, there's like a balance between having stuff completely accurate to the timepiece, and then also you're starting to not really engage with new readers and younger, individuals, because they're like, what the hell is all this shit? Like there's only so much that you can make it so eloquent, and like Bridgerton. And then also, luckily, because it is that gangster aspect and the crime syndicate, it's like, okay, cool, we can make it not so proper and posh and things like that. Like, we can make it down and dirty and violent and John Wick it a little bit.
That is true. I think sometimes I'm all for accuracy, but not at the expense of the storytelling. And sometimes some authors can get way too detailed and they lose the interest of the reader or the listener. And other time people can be totally engrossed in that. The fact that there are readers out there that will and have gone after authors in the reviews saying, back in the day, they didn't have 18 pockets, they had 25, it was this or that. I'm going, listen, I can't remember the name of the dude or the guy's hair color because that's just not how my brain works. So why are you focusing on fucking buttons? Like, stop.
Or I loved, and I hope I don't sound horrible, and I hope it's funny because it's funny to me, but I'm also got like a walnut brain. Um, so I had this individual that in book two, not to be like a spoiler, but it's not that bad. Well, dear Bobby, the little brother of the Afton Adders, you meet him in book one, and then he got book two for his own story because everybody loved Bobby. He was Mr. Sweet baby boy in the beginning, and then something awful happens, and he twists and he turns and he becomes like, I wanted him to be like a Joker mixed up with just like John Wick chaos, but just like, oh. And so he becomes unhinged, and I gave him book two. And with that, in book two and book one, he references that he's always wanted to be a cowboy, and he like envies that, or he looks up to it, to the point where in book one he's wearing like a whole cowboy getup, and he's got like a bolo tie on, and his brothers are like just taking the piss out of him, and they're like, what the hell is on your neck? And he's like, it's a bolo tie. And he's like, it looks like a dried up dick, what the hell is that? And he's like, it's a bolo tie, cowboys wear it. And he's like, you look stupid. Like, and they're just making fun of him. And then book two, he is like hell bent on being a cowboy. He wants to do this little barrel race thing, and he has a horse named Spunk, and it is in reference to their spunk. And so Spunk is an asshole of a horse. Like he will run and make him think that he's gonna go around the barrel, but then he brakes real fast, and then Bobby flies off, and they've been running around all morning, so the dirt is churned up, and he gets head face into the mud, and the sugar cubes like fall out of his pocket because physics. And the horse comes by and is like, "Yeah, that's what you get, bitch." And then Bobby's gifted another horse, which he names Snatch, to go with Spunk. Um, and so he does a little barrel racing. It's not even like a 15-minute scene in total for both in the books, but there was someone that is an avid horse racer, and obviously I looked up stuff online, and I was asking my friends that have horses, like, hey, if I want to describe this, what would it look like? What are the words? Because I feel like I'm too basic. Like, I want to make it more. I want more oomph. And so they would give me pointers and stuff. And the person that made a comment, it was kind of funny and cute because they're like, you could clearly tell that the author has never ridden horses in their life. And I was like, correct.
Not the kind of thing I like to write on, but anyways.
I was like, I wanted to apologize. Like, I'm sorry that, the 15 minutes worth of him trying to be a cowboy and failing perturbed you to take a star away. I'm sorry. And no, I don't know shit about horse racing, and neither does Bobby, and that's why he failed.
Because there's more to it than being a cowboy than just the outfit.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I again love accuracy when it's needed, and for a while there was a lot of books a few years ago that there was always somebody in the culinary world, and they were doing something, and it's like that. And I have my degree in culinary arts, one of them, and it's like that's not how you saute that fish. But I never did it in a review. I'm like, I'm not going to, that's not. I mean, at the same time, unless you go to culinary school and spend who knows how much money, and I don't want to think about it right now because student loans. But anyways, how else would you know, right? It's like, dude,
exactly.
like, dude, yeah, it's still like, don't get lost. Like, stay in the story, stay in the moment.
Yes.
Yeah. Someone's always got to be the one that tries to be the subject matter expert. It's like, go write a book then. Shut up.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. But you gotta love siblings, right? Always there, like they'll help you. They will hide the body for you, but up until then, they will completely ride your ass on things to make fun of and stuff like that. It's just and I love seeing this kind of relationships in books and movies and banters and stuff like that. How do you deal with that in the dialogue and the bantering, especially now that your books are in audio?
So for banter, that kind of like I get ideas from my husband and I because we're very smart assy with each other. So a lot of the banter will actually come from real incidences between us, especially in book 3, Hearts Regulated by Cyanide, because Kenneth and Alice are absolute lunatics. Like, there's one part where she meets her, arranged marriage husband, and she like sneaks into his house and drinks his whiskey, and she's an asshole to him, and that's okay because he's an asshole to her. But she says sociopath meets psychopath, and it's that little thing, and then other items where like they're fighting, and Kenneth is like, so I do the most reasonable thing that I can think of. Well, my wife is like trying to beat the shit out of me, and I'm like holding her arms, and I'm holding her from behind, so I bite the shit out of her shoulder because that's the only reasonable thing that I could think to calm her down. And then it does not calm her down, you idiot. And so a lot of the stuff, it's like random things that potentially banter from my husband and I,
Mm-hmm.
or it's just like quirky things out of like the right side of my brain that's like, hey, what do you think about this? This would be funny. You think this would be funny? I think it'd be funny.
But now that you've also done a few audiobooks, do you find yourself that when you are in the midst of writing the stories, that you're thinking about not so many tags or a particular voice from a narrator's perspective, or the type of voice for these characters prior, more so now prior to them when you did do your audiobooks?
Oh, yes. So, especially after hearing Allie and James and Sean do the voices, like when I am writing, I actually hear them in my brain. And it's kind of cool. And it
Mm-hmm.
helps with like kind of making the story now. Um, and especially with the personalities that are tied to it and their voices just make it more in depth, even though technically they're not audiobooks just in a second. But it's cool to kind of like preview it in my head, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
any sense.
No, absolutely. We always kind of have a voice, and when at least when I'm reading, it's almost like a picture. So it's almost like watching a play or a movie, and they all have their distinct, characters and the tones and stuff like that. And then I can only imagine what it's like in your head as the creator of these worlds and characters. And like you referenced before, J.R. Ward, she's always like, "Yeah, they just don't shut the fuck up."
Yes.
So I'm just gonna read the damn thing. Y'all have fun with that one. And now you add the extra bonus of now you're hearing voices from other people in your head as they're talking about things in their tones and accents. And I can only imagine a character saying, "That is not how I sound."
Or I love how my husband and I will be like watching a show or a movie, or we'll be out in public and like something happens and he's like, I could see Bobby doing that, or I could see Kenneth doing that. And I'm like, oh my God, I love that you're thinking of my characters as well.
Oh, I was gonna say that it's just so cute. I love that. It's nice when that when the significant other shows interest, but also like, does he get a kick out of it though? Like, does he ever think that the hero is totally based on his awesomeness?
Oh yeah, because Kenneth is straight, like he knows after he so I write and then I go through like beta reader and then I send it to my editor after I look at it again. And then my husband will be the first person to read it after I've edited with Lee, my editor's stuff. And so I love watching my husband read the books, not in like a weird like narcissistic type of thing like no, but I love when I'm like, okay, what part are you at? And he's like, I'm at blah blah blah, and I'm like, yes, okay, he's like two chapters away from this one thing that I wrote that he did, and then he's gonna say something, and I'll be in the kitchen like doing dishes, and then he has his little like reading section of the couch where he likes to lay out and like prop his head up, and he has a specific way he reads. It's adorable. And so I'm washing the dishes and I'm just like peeking at him, peeking at him, peeking at him. He's like, you put that in the book? And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, you know damn well, lady, what I'm talking about. And he's like, page blah blah blah, chapter blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh yeah, I did. And then like some of the other scenes, he's like, seriously? He's like, people are gonna pick up, and I'm like, no, they're not, because they don't know which is actually you. It's only bits and pieces of things that you've said and done. And he's
Mm-hmm.
like, Jesus Christ. And it was funny because his boss is secretary. So my my hubs is like number one cheerleader, even though he's introverted. It's adorable. And like, can I tell you, babe, like taking him, number one, I didn't think he would, so pause on important stuff. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're good.
But him being Mr. Introvert, and then I had my first book con, Spellbound in the Valley, last October, and I was like, shit, how am I going to do this? Maybe I can get a friend to fly out. Maybe I can grab someone, da da da. I did not expect him to be like, pick me, pick me. I'm like, what? You want to go? You're introverted. There's going to be book. women there, book men and women that go feral. Like it's not like cutesy wootsy pootsy. This is book feral. And he's like, I'm down. I'm ready. I'm like, you're gonna be overstimulated. He's like, I'll deal with it. I'm like, all right,
Aw.
you hate crowds because of your PTSD and stuff. Like, are you absolutely positively sure? I do not want you to go and be unhappy because that is the last thing I ever want is for you to not be comfortable and miserable. Like that would suck. And he's like, I can do it. I'm gonna do it because I want to do it because I want to see you go through this moment in your life. And I'm like, God, I fucking love you. You deserve a blowjob. Yeah. And so oh my God, if he listens to this, he's gonna be like so red faced and he's as pale as a piece of paper. Like shit. And so it was funny because we go to the con and I posted a picture of us. It was our engagement pictures, and it's kind of like a dark romance theme from back then. And so I posted that picture that was like Spellbound in the Valley, and like some of my readers and like people going to Spellbound were like, Mommy and Daddy, oh my God, this is hot. Like, oh my God. And so when they come to the table, even if they like never met me, never read my stuff, they were like, oh my God, you're the people with the pictures. You're the guy that was the model. And he's like, Model? What? So I pull up Instagram and I show him the picture, and he goes stark ass cherry red. He's like, You posted that to social media? And I was like, Yeah. And he's like, 2,000 people have viewed that picture? And I'm like, Yeah. And then he goes, And some chicks from my work have liked the picture? And I'm like, Yeah. And he's like, Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm like, Do you need a break? And he's like, Nope, I'm just going to figure it out. I'm going to figure out my feelings. I can do this. And then going back to your original, question. So the secretary that works for his boss, so my husband, he's a flight commander in the military, and so the secretary for his boss, I think he was like hyping up my books because he's again number one cheerleader, even though an introvert. And he was like, "Yeah, my wife writes books. You might like them, blah blah blah." And so she's gotten my books, and it was funny because she would make comments to him or me, and she'd be like, "Oh yeah, I could see like this one part, and I could hear like Scott saying that, or I could see Scott saying or doing that," and he was like, "Oh God, oh God." Especially, sorry, babe, you can maim me later. And there's one part where he was reading it, and his face goes red as ever, red as a bonfire as I'm doing the dishes or the laundry or whatever, and I'm just peeking at him, waiting for him to get to this one part. And he's like, "That was our smexy time." And I was like, "Uh-huh." And he's like, "You put that in the book?" I'm like, "Uh-huh. It's smexy." And he's like, "Ah, I don't know how to feel right now. People are gonna read that." I'm like, "They don't know. There's a lot of smexy times in there, and they won't know." And he's like, "I just don't know how to feel." And he closes the book all dramatic, puts it down. He's like, "I need a 10-minute break. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go play PlayStation." I'm like, "Okay."
Internally, I see you going,
Yes. Yes. And then like when people were coming up to the con table and they were like, "Oh my gosh, this one scene, it was like so hot." And like I think about that from
no.
time and time. And then they walked away and he was like, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, now you're okay with it." Oh shit.
It's great to have those kind of relationships where they're supportive and things like that. I've been going to cons for years now. I've been doing this for 15 plus, and was always interesting how more and more guys were coming, but it wasn't because they were readers. They were there because their significant other were. And there was even some T-shirts where like, "I'm here to hold the heavy books. Look at my muscles," or something like that. It was just so funny.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that.
And there was one time where my husband came with me. I think it was Kansas City, for the RT Book Lovers conventions years ago. And, he had learned that in the previous ones, they had themed events, like either like a historical party or this and that and stuff like that. So he's like, "I'm going to take my kilt." And I'm going, "Okay, better than the medieval armor pieces stuff. It's better to ship it." Okay, great. So in one of those, it wasn't really a themed day or anything, but the authors are signing. So like you can imagine yourself being at the table, and he's wearing his kilt with the boots and the shirt. And I'm behind him because someone stopped me to talk, and he's walking forward, and I see all the authors taking out their phones and start recording as that man walks on by. And it was so cute. And then someone's like, because I went to talk to him, I said something, and then one of the authors pulled me aside and he's like, "Do you know him? Is he like a mom?" Like, "That's my husband." No. He's like, "Damn, girl." I'm like, "Yeah, he a hottie." And he holds books.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so it's, but also again, great cheerleader, a bit of an introvert, and they're the ones that are always there. Like, why do I have to be at the table? You can just sell my stuff. Bye. So I love that for you. I love that to have that support is great. And it just makes everything more fun, I think, in general. Yeah. But yeah, and he survived. He survived because these events are not for the faint nowadays.
No, no, they're not.
Those are always interesting. I'm going, yeah, they weren't like that all the time. Hey, fun times. But that's so fantastic. I love that again. Going to take a little break. We'll be right back. Authors, you don't need to struggle. If you're looking to get your titles in audio and don't know where to start or how to go about casting or even figuring out who the right voices for your characters are, head over to Adler Audios. It's run by book-loving authors and narrators who understand the struggle we have in publishing. From casting to marketing, we're here to help. Go to www.adleraudios.com to learn more. All right, see, that wasn't so bad. Let's continue with the fun. So we're going to talk a little bit more about, did a lot of like the work stuff, and, I just kind of want to get a little bit more in the personal things, but not really that personal because it's not that kind of podcast. And also none of our business people, just in case, for those of you that are listening. All right. I think sometimes with romance in the genre, we have like boundaries for a reason, people. So when you're not working the day job and writing these really sexy men based off of things that your husband or funny bantery stuff that he says or does, what do you do for fun or to recharge?
To recharge, I love board games. I love board games. I play BattleTech. So it is a tabletop with large mechs that beat the crap out of each other. That started in like 2013, I want to say, and I've just always loved it. I love tabletop games, regular board games, like Catan and stuff like that. I love getting friends into board games too, because it's almost like that way where you detach from technology, like it's still fun to play, Super Smash Bros. And Mario Kart, and we love playing Mario Kart with our kiddos and stuff like that. We love video games still, but there's just something about gathering around the coffee table or the table and just like playing board games and having snacks and just, that competitive like goofiness and just like I don't know, it's like not to sound dorky, but just magical, like just to have that, and it feels so damn good. It just feels like home almost. It's just I don't know, it's just such a good feeling. I wish you could bottle it because it's just nice. And then other than that, I love to bake. I love baking, especially bread or cupcakes, and figuring out new recipes to do, and failing miserably at new recipes. But it's all part of the fun and small happy little like glimmers and moments. Because sometimes I really am bad at being a workaholic where I'll work all day at my day job and then sometimes I'll do like my other job and work on the weekends, or work like in the middle of the night like 9 p.m. until like 6 a.m. And it's just because the cost of the hobby of writing. Because I mean, yes, I finally feel like a real author. Before that I had horrible imposter syndrome and it still creeps up sometimes, but I'm really bad at like just sit the hell down and relax and enjoy and have fun. Like my husband has had to threaten to duct tape me to the couch sometimes. And he's like, "You are going to sit down and you are going to watch a TV show and you're going to just relax. Like you do not always have to work." But I'm like, I don't know how to get that out sometimes. And sometimes we have to physically get out of the house Or I'll have to do that for writing sometimes, where I have a small coffee shop I go to where I'm like, okay, you know what? I keep finding shit to do in the house, like cleaning or dogs or chores or whatever else. And I'm like, okay, bitch, get out of the house. You're not focused on your writing and you're not doing a great job like you need to be. And so a lot of the times going back is board games,
Mhm.
baking, dancing, family, or doing random shit. Like yesterday after work, it was a crazy day. And I grabbed my husband. I was like, babe, I need you to do me a big favor. And he's like, yeah, what's up? I said, I need you to make a snow angel with me. And he's like, the fuck? And he's like, I don't want to. It's going to be so cold. As he moves to go get his jacket on,
Aw.
he's like, it's going to be cold and I'm going to be wet. And I'm like, but it'll make me so happy. It'll make my week. And he's like, okay. And so we go and make a snow angel for 2.5 seconds. And then, I don't know, it's just like little moments like that that
Mhm.
just mean so much to my little life.
Very important, though. I think that in the hustle of just life in general, and then when it comes down to being an author, I think sometimes you guys forget that you guys are small business owners, and
Yeah.
it entails a lot. It's not just the writing aspect. There's, the whole thing that goes behind and just getting that book done, let alone all the other stuff from taxes to graphic stuff to socials to marketing. There's so many different layers. It's a small business that you guys are running. It just happens to be you are the business versus a
Amen.
storefront kind of concept. But you have to find those moments. As much as I know I'm very much a workaholic as well. I love what I do. And if it's not book stuff, it's like, ooh, let's make something with the jewelry pieces, or let's do something with the herbs and stuff. And it's like watching or something without doing something is just weird. And so my kid,
Yes.
who's 23, he is very much like you, who loves a good board game, and we have collections, and I love them as well. And I just didn't do the whole collection thing, but now I have a Monopoly Stitch version and a Clue Bridgerton version. And so we were actually playing those games like last weekend that he was in here and hanging out. He's like, let's do some board games. I'm going, all right. And so he picked those two. He's like, he doesn't like Bridgerton. He's never watched it, but he's like, I'm kind of curious to see how this Clue is going to be with Bridgerton themed.
I love that.
Yeah. It's a disconnecting and being able to be in the moment. It's hard because we love what we do, and we also have deadlines and things to meet and requirements, and the imposter syndrome of like, no one's gonna buy the book, or no one's gonna buy the thing. And freelancing sucks. They don't tell you that
Hmm.
when you're like, I want to own my own business. It's freelancing, folks. You don't know when and if the funds are gonna come in and how much those funds will be, and you're going, I think I'm just gonna wing it.
Amen. Yes. Holy crap. No one tells you and you don't even think about it. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's why like especially with my children's books, like I don't get any sales from them. Not to be like shameful to voice that, but it's just the truth. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't really market them. And also children's books are hard as hell to market.
Yeah.
Holy crap. And it's just the niche. It's the niche and it's a part of that because there's so many people that I'm down to try to help out, but after a while, when some people kind of take advantage of your help and they almost want you to do it for them, and I'm like, wait a second, like I researched a lot of shit. I fell on my face a lot. I had people take my money and they weren't, and well, one of them actually was an editor and she didn't take my money and run, but like I don't know what happened. I was trying to be benefit of the doubt of like personal stuff, and then it just fell through. And then she wouldn't message me back. I'm like, hey, I hope you're doing okay. And then she took the $400 deposit and then was gone
Oh,
off
yeah.
off the internet. Yeah, and like people don't realize like we get like if you're not careful, you get stiffed a
Yeah.
lot and you have to really like siphon through and weed things out and you realize how important contracts are and you realize how important like hey, have you known this person? Have you worked with this person? Can you like vouch for them or not vouch, but like almost like a reference, like
Yeah.
how was your time with them and that type of stuff and it's just nuts.
Yeah.
It's
And
nuts. No one teaches you this.
yeah, that too, but also it's in, and I've seen it again. In this industry, it's I love that anyone can decide today that they want to start writing. I love that anyone can be a photographer or a graphic designer. Hey, you want to be editor? Great. What I don't love, if a lot of them are half-assing it, don't do any basic research as to what it entails. And then that's also where the scams come into play, because they think it's a get rich quick scam kind of concept. And
Yes.
and that's something too that I've been trying to have a dialogue with people, because there's a lot of authors that they're posting things. They're like, oh, I would love to have this, and this, and they're like, and I need a PA for all that. I'm going, no, you need a business manager for all that, love. It's not a PA. Or you need a social media manager, or a marketing director or manager, however you want to title it. It isn't a PA, but everyone kind of uses the term PA because it's just what they're using. And I'm going, that's a pet peeve of mine if you haven't figured that one out. um but
What?
also on the other flip side, everyone is like, hey guys, if you want to take as if you're an author who's wanting to have a PA and you're willing to take on a brand spanking new one, I'll charge you like $10 an hour. And I'm going, or they can hire someone that knows what the fuck they're doing. And that way you don't have two babies doing the same thing. Yeah, it's more expensive, but my God, it's worth its weight in gold when you hire someone that has experience. Again, not knocking, because you got to start somewhere, but it just seems like everyone wants to do it all right now. And even with authors, when they're like, oh, I didn't make the list. I'm like, girl, it's your first book, chill.
Yeah. Yeah. One going to that, like, there's one friend of mine where I love her to bits and pieces, but okay, and maybe I'm messed up because I got a walnut brain, but my life has shown me don't have expectations, because if you have expectations, your heart will get broken. And or I've unfortunately learned that you have to do everything yourself. And like I don't know. I just had a different life and hit rock bottom and had to just figure shit out. And it sucked, but well, look where I am now. I have to be thankful for that. Even though I still wish wrongdoing on that person. But
We'll
you live
put him
and
in
you
a
learn.
jar. We'll put him in a jar.
Or a book, or in a book, and you just don't mention,
Yeah.
he has a poetic death. No, I'm not saying that. What am I talking about? But so with my books, I just don't even think anything at all. Like, I had like a quote unquote goal of just, I want my book to be read by about 100 people. That'd be great. It would be a dream, not a goal, a dream. So then I was like, if it doesn't happen, cool. Like, it's a dream. And now that it's surpassed that, it's like, holy fucking shit. Like, thank you, everyone. Oh my God. Thank you for like anything, everything. And then I have my friend on the side who I absolutely adore. And I felt bad because they were getting heartbroken left and right because they wanted to have like 150,000 pages read a month. And I was like, holy shit.
Bring
Like,
it
I mean,
down a notch, realistically speaking, people.
well, that's awesome. Like, that is a great goal. But again, like you said, if it's your first book, you got to get traction. You got to market the hell out of it. And it's got to also be like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what I've learned over, the last few years of writing is like there's almost a season for different genres of books. It's what's in season, because I started getting really down on myself because a lot of my query letters I'd go for, I wouldn't hear anything back, or it'd be like, the standard like auto no, which is understandable. But for that, I was getting down on myself. And then I just kind of started looking at people that were getting agents, and then also talking to a couple of my book friends from Spellbound. And they were like, it's all about that niche and what the genre that's hot, and that's what gets picked up sometimes. Like, sometimes it's all about you. Number one, it's hard to find that literary agent that is exactly for what your niche and your genre is. And if you aren't the niche and genre of the up and coming, almost like certain music, pop music, rap, etc., then it's not your time yet. It doesn't mean it won't be your time later, because there's been a whole bunch of books that we've seen that, you know, they were regular and then boom, they blew up, like Dungeon Crawler Carl and Game of
Mhm.
Thrones and stuff like that. Granted, I'm not saying I'm as great as those greats, but there's a small little kernel of hope.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely, I mean, I remember when everything was, like True Blood, everything was vampires and shifters and things like that. And then,
Yes.
and everybody was like, oh no, historicals had died. And I'm looking at them as I'm reading 4 or 5 of them. And then it was, 50 Shades of Grey concept came out. And then everything was about that world. And it's very much in whatever's in the trend right now is dark romance. And
Mhm.
and I hate to say it, but if it's one of those, will it ever go away? No. Will it still have the hype that it has now? No. It will die, and it will go to slumber. Let's call it that way. It will fall into slumber, and it will peak again in a couple of years. It doesn't mean that these authors are not going to be successful, but that's also why you see a lot of authors, especially those that have been doing it for a longer time, jump from genre to genre, or they do such a thing where their entire business strategy and marketing and branding is all within that genre, and they just don't care because it never
Mhm.
really dies. It just goes to sleep as far as who's looking at it. But they could be having a party in that cave while they're, people think people are the genre is hibernating, but the reality is it's just over there. They're just, not everybody's paying attention to it right now, and that's okay. And the same thing with even now with I guess those like career goals were very corporate thinking of, if I want to write a book, I have to get a literary agent and then get into the big five, and that's ideal of success. But baby, you can write your book and have it self-published and be a huge success without ever touching a literary agent. And so you just kind of have to like go with the flow and figure out what you want to do. That's just with any kind of career. But definitely there are trends that, right before the whole thing with Bridgerton exploded, everybody was like, historical and that kind of era of, Victorian Regency is not going to be a thing. And then Bridgerton came out,
Mhm.
but those books have been around for eons. Those books are not new. And now, we're going to probably have another, like the whole thing with the Outlander and more on the Highland and the Scottish kind of thing. When Peaky Blinders came out, everybody was like all about Peaky Blinders and all the fun stuff and the shirts and the outfits, and it has its ups and downs. And if you're going to be someone that only follows the trends, that's also not the kind of fan that you want. You want a reader that is going to fall in love with your work, the way that you
Mhm.
write, how you create these characters, those plots, those twists, the way that you do Easter eggs, all that stuff is based on you. And that is the kind of reader that you want. And that's good to have 1 or 2 of those versus a gazillion that will leave your ass high and dry the moment that the next, trend comes into play versus
Mhm.
keeping the one, the 4 or 5. And I say the exact same spiel to people that are like looking for ARC readers and listener or advanced listener copies. They're like, listen, I would much rather have a small team of 10 that does the fucking reviews within the time frame that we ask them to do it and then are raving about the book versus boasting that we have 100 people in which only 5 do fucking reviews if we're lucky.
Mhm.
So it's like you gotta look at it from that perspective. But there's so many authors that are fabulous that it just hasn't hit them because unfortunately in this lovely grand scheme of life, where you can plan down to the T, to the last second, the millisecond, there's a thing called luck and no one controls that bitch.
Mhm.
so
Amen. Yes.
so when it's your time, it's your time. Find the joys, find those moments, find those readers that will literally say, if you turned right now and decided to write sci-fi a la Star Trek, I will read it. That is who you want to have on your readership and stuff like that. And then kind of just roll with that.
And that still boggles my tiny little brain, because like I've met so many amazing readers and listeners that have been like, "Oh yeah, you're an auto buy for me." Or
Mm-hmm.
my biggest honor was when I saw someone message and say, "You're my comfort listen to now. Like when I have a bad day, I just listen to your first book or your second book." I'm like, "What?
Aw.
Really? Holy shit, like thank you." I can never not be grateful for anybody or anything. Like, I don't know what it is. Again, I'm a little dork where I'm just like always grateful because that it would never not be anything without people that read and listen and give you a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like so freaking magical to me. Like my brain can't wrap around that. Like when I had Freya she's from freaking New Zealand. And I was like, "You read my book and you're in fucking New Zealand? Holy shit." And she's like, "Yeah, like it's because the internet and like ARC readers and stuff." And like I'm like, that just blows my damn brain though. Like I can't that's so cool. And you're reading my shit. Like, holy shit. And you're okay with it, right? Like, if it sucks, let me know. I'll give you your money back. And she's like, please shut up.
Well, the imposter syndrome is something that plagues almost every small business owner, and especially in the creative aspect of things, but also we're women and we're told all the time that we need to be striving for more. We need to do better. We need to constantly be on the go. And people are just blowing smoke up you. They don't really like, all that bullshit that they throw at you because we happen to have vaginas and we just have self-doubt. And then those moments like being nominated for a Sultry Listeners Awards and then fucking winning it, girl.
Okay, sorry, shameful. I bawled my little tiny eyes out. Oh my God. Like even getting the nomination, I was like, holy shit. Holy shit. My husband's like, oh my God, this is awesome. Like, I can't believe this is real. This is fucking real. And he's like, it is. And I was like, pinch me. And then he did. And I was like, shit, no, I didn't mean really. And then when we got it, oh my God, Viviana, anytime I think of that day, those feelings come back and it's just like euphoria.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's one of the moments that helps solidify like you are a real author. So quit being a dick to yourself.
Yeah. It's those things, and that's. But also, I will tell you with full transparency and honesty, prior to actually getting that the note that you sent me, when you found out that you won, I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Because the amount of work that it takes into doing the Sultry Listeners Awards, and it's me, myself, and nobody else that does it. And you get over 4,000 entries, and you swear to God, people don't know how to read fucking directions. Nope. I love you all, but you don't. And I'm like this close to having to do like a TED talk on what genres are versus tropes, because baby. Oh, no. Just because he's a monster doesn't mean that he's dark romance. Anyway, right? And so there's all these things, and then there's people complaining that so-and-so wasn't nominated. I'm like, did you nominate them? No? Shut the fuck down. Shut up and sit down kind of thing, right? And so there's always these things. And at the same token, like I said, I'm spending hours on this thing, and it's all free. No one's paying. There's no entry fees. There's nothing. And so funds are not coming in from that perspective. And I have to host the web. I mean, there's a long list of things that anyone in their right fucking mind would have been like, I'm out. And I was really like contemplating, and I'm going, okay, Viv, what do you want out of 2026? And I'm like, I want to be able to do less and have more, not only funds, but also time, and be able to do the things that I really, 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 really love without having to worry about deadlines and things like, oh God, I got to set up the polls for the Sultry Listener stuff, because someone's about to complain that fucking form is too long. I'm like, are you paying for the system? No, shut up.
Yeah, and that's not fair to you. I shouldn't say hate because it's so strong, but it really makes me disappointed that people nowadays especially seem so entitled, and they're also unable to put themselves in other people's perspectives. And I think we would be such a better society if we could put ourselves in other people's perspectives. And it sucks because you can even tell your perspective to someone and they don't even give it. Yeah, and that makes me so flippin' mad because all the hard work that you're doing and everything all the time on your own time that you could be doing something else, enjoying something else, and you're doing this to be an amazing person and also an avid reader, and to make other people feel special to win the award and get nominated. Like, come on, people. Come on.
So I was like, that's it. That was it. I'm not doing this again. And then I get your note, and I'm like, see, that's why I do it. I'm like, great. Okay, this is, but that's also what it is. It's not only for the readers to discover new. I got a lot of little notes here saying I did not know there was such a thing as a Peaky Blinder book. I'm like, well, there you go. It's just be able to provide the opportunity to get and you having you guys get in front of things and other readers and listeners and stuff like that without having to worry about a dollar amount, because a lot of these awards, they cost money just to enter the door, not even get nominated. I mean, just to be like, hi, I'm here, here's $3,000. Okay, maybe not so much, but still $100 or 200, still a lot of money.
100,
yeah, oh yeah, I know, yeah. And then again, not even get nominated. I'm like, can I at least get in the door. But I also understand why there's a fee sometimes, because again, I do it all by myself. So it's just one of those where it allows for some of that recognition, but for you guys as the authors and also for the narrators to know that it was the listeners that submitted it, and someone's like, I loved it that much, I'm just gonna fill out this long ass form. I'll do the research for the link, the right one. So it's because of you and that note that you sent me that really made me go, okay, great, this is why I'm doing it. So there will be another year of the Salty Listeners Awards.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, it means a lot to kind of like what you were saying on the other side. Anytime that you create something, and I think it's regardless of what you're creating, when others value it and appreciate it, it can be the whole world for some individuals. And so that's also something to keep in mind when people get ALCs or ARCs. Do the fucking review. Sorry. I don't just live in this world, I also work in it, and so those are also some of my other pet peeves. But anyways, but yeah, I was just floored that you were so happy to have, not only been nominated but also you won. And so it's just great to get that note from you too, as far as the emotions and the love and stuff like that too. So I appreciate you for that.
Oh, I want to freaking hug you.
I so do want to meet you in real life, for real though.
Hell yeah! You're in Orlando? Because I'll be at Villains and Vixens.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll have to set a date. Take something good,
yes.
Have some fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll send you the dates of when we're out there, because we're going a little bit early too.
Yeah.
So we could meet and have dinner or something. That would be so badass.
Yeah, I would. It's always great. When do you know? Is it around the summertime though?
It is. It's at the end of July.
Yeah. Just make sure that you're ready for the hot as hell. But what's your seasons like in Florida? I'm like, it's hot as hell, hot damn, what the fuck hot this shit is. I mean, it just keeps getting harder, and this is worse than hell. But yeah, that's what I'm like, as long as it's indoors, I'm good.
Heck yeah.
I am curious about something I want to ask you. What is a song that when it plays, it doesn't matter where you're at, that you're going to start singing to it?
Oh. That's hard because there's a lot of songs. For crying out loud, I was singing Feliz Navidad 2 days ago. It was someone's ringtone.
That's a little late.
I know, right? I would have to say Johnny Cash, Ring of Fire.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but definitely that one. Or even the music don't even have to be playing. If I'm getting a tattoo, that's my song to go to. If I'm braiding one of my patient's hairs, that's what I'm humming. I don't know what.
It's a good one. It has a lot of different meanings there, and that one's a good one. So many different things. All right, another question for you. Your favorite word, not your favorite curse word, because that is part 2 of that question. So your favorite word.
Let's see. Acquiesce.
Okay.
It sounds so sophisticated.
It does. Acquiesced. Favorite curse word.
Favorite curse word?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck.
I love a good fuck. I mean, it's just so utilized in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Now, I gave you homework. Did you do it?
think I remember doing something.
The two truths and a lie.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. See, folks, I give them homework so they don't have to get like, so you guys don't have to have like 5 hours of dead air. She's done it. All right, perfect. So we're gonna do a round of two truths and a lie, where you tell us 3 things about yourself, of which one of them is a lie, and we have to figure out which one it is. So if you're ready to tell us.
Okay. So I have been stabbed. I have ridden in a helicopter. And I have my damn notes. I had this written down. I know, right? Okay, there we go. I have been stabbed. I've ridden in a helicopter, and I've put over 700 people in body bags.
It's all about the details. Because you could have been stabbed, but like with a needle, because in your profession, that's very likely. Same thing with a helicopter, right? The lovely number of 700 and body bags. You are a nurse and you were in COVID, so that's also very possible, but also maybe not 700. Who knows? It's all about the details, folks. So let's see which one's the lie. You did good, by the way.
I'm raising my eyebrow, waggling them.
I want to see, because in the details, the 700 people in body bags is a lie.
Drum roll. No, the helicopter's a lie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I have put over 700 people in body bags, like you said, because of COVID. I also worked oncology hospice. So I would do home hospice, and then I also did oncology hospice ward in the hospital. And I started off there as well as a nursing assistant. I almost said nursing anesthetist. I wish. And then the stab, I got stabbed while working one of the COVID units, because it was like a solitary confinement. These people would be there for weeks, months, and you're stuck in that room, and it is a solitary confinement, and their family couldn't come at times, and yeah, it was just not good for people. And this one guy had a psychotic break, and while I was doing his labs at like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, he like jerked forward and he moved while I was doing his lab, and I was like, whoa, hey, hold on, I don't want to like get you with the needle. But then the needle went through my hand. Well, not through like hand, but like through the palm area. And I was like, fuck, why? Ow. And then I was like, whoa, why does my side hurt as I'm in my horrible astronaut papper suit? And I look over and I have a little pocket knife sticking out of my right side. And I was like, what the hell? And he's like, he starts freaking out because he's like, I don't know. I thought you were bad. I thought you were bad. And I was like, what? Like I've got my hand, I've got a knife. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? I hit the code blue button. And they all come in. The charger, she was like, what the hell? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on right now. Just, what the fuck? And we're all in these stupid ass apper suits looking like shitty astronauts.
Oh,
and like,
gosh.
it was such a mess, Viviana. It was such a now it's a horrible dark joke, right?
Yeah.
It's a funny story. But at the time, oh my God.
Yeah.
It was freaking chaos.
Like I said, it's definitely something that it's taken for granted and not appreciated enough, that job that you guys do as nurses, especially when situations like that. But yeah, I mean, that's what I'm like, did she get stabbed? Most likely. Could it have been from a needle? Yes. Could it have been from a scalpel? Yes. Could it have been a situation like she's describing now? Yes. And the originally, like the helicopter, like I said, was like, that's possible too, again, because again, the job that you have. The 700, that's just the number. I think that with us human beings, we never want to think of that as far as that many. But yeah, you had to do it. And it's yeah. I was kind of hoping that it was like, no, we were just testing. I'm like, no, she wasn't.
Oh,
No, she's good. She's good. It's part of life. And it's one of those things where my mom was also very, very much like, listen, you're born, you're here, and then you're not. And you have to live your life while you're here to the fullest and to the bestest, because when you're gone, you're gone. And the only people that really suffer are those that are left behind. So make sure that you are setting up for things that are, you are kind to people. You are, you do the best that you can with what you're provided in regard, even if it is shitty. But yeah, it's just one of those where very much of, you have to live to the best and to the fullest, because you just don't know when you're not here anymore. So yeah, it's but yeah, 700, damn girl, you're keeping count. You have to, I think, sometimes, right? It's one of those where yeah, especially with when you were doing it, so sad. Like I said, again, I admire you guys, and I am very grateful. I had a bunch of great nurses that would be with me and help me with my mom when she was going through her illnesses and stuff like that, and I was always very grateful. The nurses were always better than the doctors. The nurses were like, oh, hey, you again. I'm like, yeah, we're back. And the doctor's like, well, the story is like, always listen to the nurses, guys. Come on, we should know this by now. Listen to the nurses.
Yes.
They're the shit. They're good. You are a first-time guest here, so I'll give you a little bit of backstory regarding the guilty pleasures. So the guilty pleasures came from we have for the Patreons, which is how we help support the podcast, and the perks are things like these segments that do not get aired to the public. You have to be a member in order to hear this, and one of them is a quick round of like, would you rather, where I very meanly make you guys choose between two things. It's fun. It was interesting to see how you guys handle that one. But one of the questions is, would you rather tell everyone your guilty pleasures or never partake in your guilty pleasures ever again? And I want to say that 99.99999% of y'all are always like, oh yeah, I'll tell everybody. And I'm like, great. The next time that you come back, we'll talk about those. And again, everyone always stops to think, oh, guilty pleasures, the Red Room and all that kind of like nights in the darks kind of thing. I'm like, no, dude, it's like eating cereal for dinner. But there was never really any follow through, because I've had people come back and we just never did it. And so I was like, I'm just going to go for it and just have that conversation of like, so guilty pleasures. What are some of your guilty pleasures, girl?
Guilty pleasures. So this one will be on Patreon?
Yeah. Well, okay. This one won't be. This is okay. That's why I'm bringing it from the page. Again, like I said, 99.9%, like 99.999, all y'all busted out with, yeah, I tell everybody. So I'm like, well, this is a safe question to not have to, spoiler kind of thing. But also to diffuse a little bit, like we always think of something like, again, the Red Room, for lack of, kind of thing, as far as something that almost like we should hide it because it's as a negative, when in reality, there's nothing wrong with anything that we do that brings us pleasure, regardless if that is eating cereal for dinner or ice cream or dessert for dinners and stuff like that. So kind of wanted to have that conversation about like, it shouldn't really be a guilty pleasure. So let's just talk about them.
Yeah. So guilty pleasure, probably pervy anime. I love pervy anime, like Monster Musume, where it has these ridiculous, gorgeous girl monster things, and like the bigger the boobs, the better. I have no idea why. It is so adorable and funny, and especially when like the lead character is an introverted, shy, and panics, and he's like, I don't know what to do, and they all like really like me, and I'm smothered in boobs, and you're just like, ha. I don't know why. That is a guilty pleasure of mine, is watching anime. Okay. There's one where it's called Prison, and it has like, I think it's 2 or 3 guys that go to an all girls' school. And you'd think like, oh, they're like the only guys and the girls are, no, they get the ever living snot kicked out of them and they're like bullied, and it is so funny. And there's like one chick who's like not a moderator, but she's almost like the warden of this prison school. And she's just like Dommy mommy. And she beats the snot out of these guys. It's just funny as hell. Like there's one where she like hits him really hard and he falls to the floor, and then as he looks up, he just happens to be like underneath one of the girls, a classmate, because he's on the floor and he looks up and her skirt happens to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And so he gets beat up again because he looked over his skirt and he's like, I didn't mean to. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And he's like trying to bow down and be like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And then she's like, you pervert. Poor kid. He just gets the snot beat out of him.
Yeah, the animations and stuff like that for the animes can be kind of very comical into the how they're so just literally animated as far as like, oh my god, and it's stuff like that. But yeah, see, that's a good one. See, nothing wrong with that stuff. Girl, I could keep talking to you forever. Why don't you tell us what you're currently working on and what's coming up for next that you can share with us before we wrap up?
Yeah, so I am working on Memoirs of Baba Yaga, which is a novella about Baba Afton's story. So she is the matriarch of the family, and her husband really helped establish the Afton Adders. So she's in all 3 of the books in my series, and a lot of readers were like, we want to know Baba's story. We want to know her background because she's such a baddie. And so I was like, all right, I'll do that. But don't be too mad because she's got to go through hell to become, the baddie that she is. So that one's coming out in April. And then I'm working on my anthology for Spellbound in the Valley. That is called The Underworld is a Woman, which comes out next year. So for the anthology, I kind of make it its own little story. Then I will make it bigger in 2027 because I really love Sapphic, Hades, and Persephone. Like I just love picturing a Hades that's like this badass, like mafia woman. And just the image in my head, I hope is portrayed with what I write because it's just amazing, lovely, and powerful. And then I have Venator Mortis, which is the serial unaliver gothic thriller romance. All of these notorious serial killers want to get Jack the Ripper because of his notoriety, and or he's killing, women of the night. And some of the serial killers, like they're either friends with them or it's their sister. And so they all are on this pathway to kill him, and they all meet at the same time. They all are trying to get him this one evening. So the story doesn't start there. I give some background of them first, and then the story kind of gets deeper and deeper and deeper as it goes because it's going to be a why choose. And then also there's like an underground world of, the rich and everything like that. And that was kind of a way I could deal a little bit with the Epstein files. So I'm taking my anger and frustration from that underworld and throwing it into this one where these serial unalivers are like, wow, I guess we aren't the true monsters in this world as we thought we were.
Yeah. Oof, okay. That's a lot of good things to look forward to.
Well, thank you.
Welcome. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It's been so much fun.
Yes, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Thank you again. You are so awesome.
Aw, thanks. If you guys that are listening have not followed her yet, don't worry, I will give you all the links so you can do that because she is awesome and you're going to love it. It will be in the show notes and you can find that over at our website of VivianaEnchantressOfBooks.com. And until next time, happy listening.
Happy listening. Bye.
Thank you to all of our Audiobook Lovin Podcast Patreon. The Audiobook Lovin Podcast has special Patreon access levels. Join today to receive benefits including early access to episodes, special exclusive content, and much more. Support the podcast by becoming a Patreon at www.patreon.com/audiobookloving. We thank you for your support.
Thank you for joining us on the Audiobook Lovin Podcast, hosted by Viviana, Enchantress of Books. For links and more information discussed in today's episode, previous podcasts, or the Audiobook Lovin series, please visit our website, vivianaenchantressofbooks.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a positive review wherever you listen to our podcast. Until next time, happy listening.